Paddy Pimblett and IShowSpeed linked up and spent the entire time playfully teasing each other and going back and forth with non-stop energy. As soon as the conversation started, Speed immediately commented on Paddy's accent, saying he sounded like he was from Alabama. Paddy laughed and repeated the comment back to him, joking that he had no idea what Speed was talking about. From there, the jokes only escalated. Paddy began making fun of one of Speed's favorite meals, saying that everyone jokes about Speed eating chicken and a can of Coke. Speed looked confused and repeated the phrase, trying to make sense of it. Paddy kept teasing him, laughing at how ridiculous the combination sounded. Speed pushed back, telling Paddy he wasn't saying it right, and the two kept repeating the line and laughing at each other's reactions. The energy only got louder when Paddy took another jab, calling Speed slow and saying it was funny that his name was Speed, because he doesn't act like it. Speed looked shocked and said Paddy must be talking to the wrong person. They continued throwing playful insults while laughing constantly. At one point, Paddy joked about Speed eating a fried egg without toast or anything else, saying he just shoves it down his throat. Speed couldn't stop laughing but tried to act offended at the same time. Their joking quickly turned competitive. Speed asked the audience whether they wanted to see the two of them fight, saying they would make it happen if the fans demanded it. Paddy didn't hesitate and told everyone to let them know. He said Speed thought he was weak, and Speed shook his head repeatedly as things escalated. Paddy told him that the only thing Speed could beat him at was a race. Speed instantly fired back, saying Paddy wouldn't be able to catch him because he's too fast. Paddy responded by reminding him that he loves kicking, meaning Speed wouldn't be able to run anywhere once he landed one kick. Speed disagreed and insisted that Paddy wouldn't even be able to catch him to begin with. The debate shifted toward technique, and Speed claimed he knows how to block kicks. Paddy laughed and questioned whether Speed really believed he could block one. Neither one backed down, and their competitive energy only made things funnier. In the end, their interaction felt like two entertainers trying to out-joke and outplay one another while keeping the audience laughing. They kept the playful rivalry going, hinting again that if fans wanted to see a fight between them, whether for fun or for competition, they would be ready. Dricus du Plessis spoke in detail about the Islam Makhachev vs Jack Della Maddalena matchup and compared it directly to his own fight with Khamzat Chimaev. Speaking to Fight Forecast, Dricus explained that he was not surprised by the outcome because he expected it to be a difficult challenge. He said that he and his team called it the previous weekend and that he knew Islam would be a tough puzzle for JDM to solve. According to him, Islam appeared to have an answer for everything that Jack threw at him. Every time JDM attempted to push forward offensively, Islam shut the doors and responded with counters that turned the momentum back in his favor. Du Plessis pointed out that when he rewatched the fight, it reminded him a lot of his own experience against Chimaev. He explained that there are certain fighters in the sport who present a very particular style that demands a specific solution. If a fighter has not yet figured out how to deal with that style, the matchup becomes extremely difficult, no matter how talented or well-rounded the opponent is. He went further by stating that this isn't a new trend in MMA. The history of the UFC has always shown eras where a particular approach, skill set, or country of fighters rises above others for a period of time. Right now, according to Dricus, the sport is in a phase where Russian and Dagestani-style wrestlers are dominating, especially due to their grappling strength, physical pressure, and their ability to control opponents for long stretches on the ground. He described their wrestling as something above the rest, and said that they are simply operating at a level that the majority of the division has not yet been able to match. Their ability to maintain top position, neutralize offense, and minimize damage creates a frustrating challenge for anyone caught underneath that style. Du Plessis also acknowledged that, while this approach is not always the most entertaining for fans to watch, winning ultimately matters more than public opinion. He explained that fighters who adopt this style win because they judge the sport for what it is, competition before entertainment. If that method secures victories, rankings, and championship opportunities, then these athletes will continue to rely on it. He emphasized that the sport is always evolving and that eventually someone will develop a consistent answer to this dominant grappling style, but for now, the wrestlers who master this blueprint continue to set the standard in high-level MMA. Georges St-Pierre spoke openly about his recent conversation with Kamaru Usman and shared the advice he gave him regarding the future of his MMA career. He explained that he saw Usman in New York during a UFC event, and during their discussion, retirement naturally came up. St-Pierre acknowledged that Usman is now in his late 30s and, as someone who has been in the same position himself, he understood exactly what Usman is going through emotionally and mentally as an elite competitor nearing the end of his career. When St-Pierre asked Usman whether he planned to compete again, Usman replied that he believes he has one more run left in him. St-Pierre told him he respects that mindset completely but offered what he called friendly advice coming from a place of admiration. He told Usman to do whatever he feels he has to do. Take the fights he wants and get the competitive fire out of his system, but to make sure he leaves the sport while still on top. For St-Pierre, retiring as a champion and not staying longer than necessary is the true cherry on top of a great legacy. He said that retiring on top is not only better for long-term health, but also smarter from a business perspective. When a fighter leaves the sport as a champion rather than after a series of losses, their value remains exceptionally high. Immediately after retirement, there are major opportunities for endorsements, appearances, and business ventures because their stock stays premium. St-Pierre admitted that, like any top athlete, it is hard to walk away when you still feel you could continue and when you think you are leaving money on the table. The ego makes you think, I should have done one more, I could have done another fight, maybe another win. He admitted that he went through the exact same feeling before his own retirement. However, he emphasized that the long-term advantages make the difficult decision worth it. If a fighter pushes too far and ends up losing 1, 2, even 3 fights in a row, their legacy takes a hit, and many of the business opportunities disappear. The fighter may still earn good money immediately from those last fights, but that money cannot compare to the long-term value created when retiring at the pinnacle of the sport. He said that if he had retired on a 3-fight losing streak instead of walking away as champion, his career, legacy, and business opportunities after MMA would have been drastically different. St-Pierre finished by saying he hopes Usman considers this perspective and does what is best not only for his legacy, but for his long-term health and future outside the cage. This segment shows Merab Dvalishvili's live reaction to Arman Tsarukyan submitting Dan Hooker. As he watched the final sequence unfold, Merab immediately leaned forward, sensing the finish was coming. The moment Tsarukyan locked in the choke, Merab reacted with instant excitement, repeatedly saying, "That's it, that's it, that's it," as he anticipated the tap. When Hooker submitted, Merab stood up in shock and admiration, saying, "Wow," several times while shaking his head and looking around the room. He was visibly impressed by the speed, precision, and control of the finish. As the replay played, Merab continued discussing how quickly Tsarukyan transitioned to the submission and how the setup left Hooker with nowhere to escape. He called it a great performance and said it was the type of win that changes a fighter's career trajectory. He emphasized that Tsarukyan showed complete composure and patience before going for the kill, demonstrating championship-level instincts. Merab applauded both athletes for the fight, saying it was an intense matchup with high-level skill on display from start to finish, but stated that Tsarukyan executed flawlessly when the moment arrived. Despite being emotional and excited, he gave balanced praise, acknowledging Hooker's toughness and willingness to face the best opponents in the division. He noted that Hooker came to fight, but Tsarukyan simply showed elite timing, conditioning, and technique that night. Immediately after that moment, the segment switched to analyst Sean Ali breaking down how Garry defeated Belal Muhammad. Sean highlighted Garry's ability to control distance and stay disciplined throughout the fight. He explained that Garry used lateral movement and constant stance switches to keep Muhammad from finding his rhythm. Every time Muhammad tried to close the distance, Garry interrupted his forward pressure with kicks, jabs, and rapid counters. Sean pointed out that Garry never allowed the pace to slow, forcing Belal to reset over and over again. In the later rounds, Garry's confidence increased and he began dictating exchanges, attacking the lead leg, then switching to head strikes once the defense adjusted. Sean emphasized that Garry won the fight by sticking to strategy, refusing to brawl emotionally, and maintaining control of range instead of overcommitting. According to him, it was a disciplined and intelligent performance that proves Garry is becoming a serious contender among the top fighters in the division. After defeating Belal Muhammad by unanimous decision, Garry immediately set his sights on the biggest opportunity available, a title shot against Islam Makhachev. During his post-fight interview, Garry spoke confidently about his performance and made it clear that he believes he has earned the right to challenge the lightweight champion next. He emphasized that he is ready for the responsibility, ready for the pressure, and ready for the biggest moment of his career. Garry went on to explain that preparation for a title fight has already begun mentally and strategically. He revealed that he plans to train with Ilia Topuria to sharpen his skill set specifically for the Makhachev matchup. According to Garry, he has already spoken with Ilia and with the team at WOW, expressing his desire to return to Madrid to work alongside Topuria and benefit from his expertise. Garry said that Topuria can help him significantly, not only because of his championship IQ, but because of his familiarity with the grappling heavy style often seen among fighters from Russia and Dagestan. Garry mentioned that he and Topuria share the same competitive attitude toward the current wave of dominant Russian wrestlers in the UFC. He said that training with Topuria in Spain and Georgia would give him access to elite bodies, high-level training partners, and coaches who understand exactly what is needed to shut down Makhachev's style. Garry described the plan as a united front, two champions in the making, working to beat the same type of fighter that has been controlling the top of the sport for years. He also acknowledged the respect he has for Makhachev's skill set but made it clear that respect does not mean fear. Garry said that he intends to disrupt the dominance of Dagestani wrestling and end the streak of Russian fighters holding UFC titles. He used strong language to highlight his confidence, saying that he and Topuria are determined to stop their success and shut down their system with superior strategy, striking, movement, and timing. Garry insisted that once he gets in front of Makhachev, he will not be bullied, controlled, or smothered on the ground like so many other fighters have been. To close, Garry stated that his goal is not just to win but to make a statement that echoes throughout the sport. He believes he is the future of the division, and he is convinced that with the right camp and the right training partners, he will be able to rise to the moment, take the belt, and silence any doubts. Garry declared that he is coming for Islam Makhachev and intends to take the title decisively.